Hi, again I'm back. Robert Amar, Situation Room Blog 13. Is it a lucky number or unlucky number? Maybe it's a lucky number. I was born on that day, so it should be lucky. But we have a lot of things that we have to look at as we look this week in review. Big story, Jack Warner. Is it true? Is it not true? Will we hear from the Attorney General and the Prime Minister as to what is taking place with the FBI? About 3 months ago, I had brought the issue into the main at the post-cabinet conference. And I told you, Jamal Mohammed, in his own unique way, said, we have no comment on that. It led, of course, to the speculation that there was more in the mortar than the pestle. And some 3 months later, we still do not know. Lots of information from Jack Warner talking about he will not be crucified. It's not about crucifying. It's about facing the reality. Is there a problem or is there no problem? Is this going to be the one domino that will cause the People's Partnership to crumble? Obviously, last week I told you that you will be hearing from Mr. Rowley and all of his comrades. And I say comrades not in any defiance, because I don't think that they are communistic in their way, but obviously as a means of joint approach. Faris Alwari has already started. Hines has gotten down on the mat so to try to pin the man down to give him the counter three. Rowley is now a full flight, as they say, taking advantage of the opportunity. But that's what life is all about. If it was me, I'd do the same. The reality is, do they have any factual information to continue to keep this in the limelight? And who knows, maybe the Prime Minister might have been right. The press, the media, certain journalists may not have been carrying balanced information. And that would lead, of course, to significant controversy. But then again, on the hustings, there's rumblings again by the union. You see where TSTT is now starting to talk. In less than 2 weeks, we are going to be having Labor Day marching. And they're already saying that privatization and all the other issues of that, they are going to be coming strong against it. Intelligence is one thing, but using intelligence is another thing. Whether these institutions are private or public is not the issue. It's whether they are making money, and in the end, who is suffering. But the union's approach to all of these things is that they are interested only in the pay package for the people who are there, whether it's efficient or not efficient. Remember, Roger, last time he told them, strike. They did strike for 6 days. When last did you hear from that failure? Excuse me, that failure. And don't talk about the MSJ. You know, I'm hearing some people talking about they seem to be the option. Option for what? Option for refuse. And I mean refuse. Refusal. You cannot be led by a person who cannot think more than one thing at a time. It's unfortunate that the guy only has a single side of his brain working. The other side goes blank, obviously, because I don't think he can multitask. You know, when you were growing up, they say, rub your belly and rub your head at the same time. I really don't think that he could do that. You understand? And therein lies the problem. So let's forget about him. He is what you call a minority of waste of time. Anytime that man gets into the operative position of trying to be the boss, you could tell yourself, you think the North Koreans have problems now, and you think America have problems with the North Koreans? Well, Trinidad and Tobago will have serious problems with a fellow like him. He hasn't changed his address and attire. He hasn't changed his approach. He hasn't done anything. And I don't think it's bad to say this also. He hasn't changed any of his habits. So it's unfortunate that a guy like that could be getting any kind of recognition. One day in the newspaper he was pronounced and spoken about 7 or 8 times. But he might have been in his glee. But I'm sure that newspaper went into the washrooms. Not for reading. You know what for. Let's look at the realistic side now. People's Partnership is in trouble. Local government election is on its way. MSJ is talking about fighting that side of the equation. I tell you, that makes no sense. Better they stay like the naughty boys and ponder, because they will not be able to bring any kind of benefit to this country. Forget it. They are going to be nuisance value. PNM, they still have the best chance, but they don't have the best leader. You must ask George Umbala Joseph about that. And if you trust George, George continues to pong and say he lives in the same area and he will not support the man. Now George is a die-hard supporter. I don't know which political party, but he's a die-hard supporter of what is right. And he's telling you that Keith Rowley really is not up to the game. So it's left for the country to be looking towards a new administration. Something that I hope I will be able to take the initiative and start to develop and lead. And we're going to make our first move with the local government election. When you look at the situation on the crime front, Isha and Steve have lost their Section 34 review by the courts. They now have to go to the appeal court. And then of course they'll go to the Privy Council. So that is going to take us another year. And obviously, one never knows what will be the end result come then. The bill went into the Parliament. It failed. And I'm sorry that I missed the last post-cabinet conference. But I would have liked to ask Mr. Ram Logan, why do we need a sunset clause of 2 years? You see, 2 years is kind of the timeline when their timeline comes to an end. And maybe they are tying it in there for reasons that you and I don't know. Obviously, there is more in the mortar than the pestle. And that is not a good sign. As we look towards next week, we have to be thinking what is going to happen with all of these upheavals that is taking place relative to the dissatisfaction still of workers. And as we head towards Labor Day, what is going to happen with all of these people who are being brainwashed about privatization being bad? Is the American economy bad? Is the British economy bad? Is the Japanese economy bad? Is the German economy bad? Is the Spanish economy bad? Maybe there are problems there. But guess what? The majority of the businesses that are making the impact into industrialization are those that are operated by individuals. So obviously, if they can do it, so can we. What we need is we need the government to take their hands off of certain things, set it up, and then let private enterprise run it. And that is one of the fears that continue to interfere with labor unions and their thinking. In retrospect, dinosaur thinkers. And that means to say, dinosaur results. When last did you see a dinosaur? I saw one recently. That is correct. MSJ. That's a dinosaur. And there are many others. But we'll pick up on that when next we get together. Keep tuned to the blog. It's building interest. Send me your comments. robertamartt@gmail.com. Any question or issue you want me to speak about, I'll be happy to attend it. Oh, I forgot. Mr. Mayor, hold on. I know you like your job and you want to get back there. The only problem is Keith isn't going to put you back. And you have already sold your assets. Well, money you have, so you really don't need that either. But at the end, in the meanwhile, while you're doing the job, help me out, man. Clean up the rubbish down in Western End, where they throw all the garbage on the side, coming up from by the mall. Yes, just after the overpass. George says about 9 or 10 bag. It's about 25 bag. Come on, man. You so incompetent. You do 2 good things and you do 10 bad ones. I compliment you for shutting down those bars on the avenue. Thumbs up to you. I compliment you for putting a place for all the food vendors in St. James. Thumbs up to you. It ain't your idea though. Copycat. Thief my idea and don't want to give me credit for it. I never heard anybody else speak about that. You remind me of a designer that I'm recently speaking to that tell me a big mass man thief his ideas. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to help him. If we could embarrass the man because he genuinely is dishonest, we have to do that. So Mr. Mayor, don't let us embarrass you. Be good. Take a thumbs up. Take a second thumbs up. But take a thumbs down, especially when coming to the garbage that's starting to show up on the western end. Okay, brother? See you next week, people.
Saturday, May 11th.
More FM 104.7 is pleased to feature a reggae legend.
Glenn Washington.
Glenn Washington, live in concert.
As we celebrate the mothers of TNT. Advance tickets $150.
Look out for our very own John Melody.
And the iconic DJ, Naya Bingy.
It's gonna be a night to remember.
Saturday, 11th May, Glenn Washington.
Coming to serenade all the mothers of TNT, Glenn Washington. This spectacular show is one that you cannot miss.
Get your tickets early.